people out there watching might think it's unusual for managers to talk to other managers, you know, because on one level, maybe they consider us competitors for acts, but to be honest, you know, managers need support system, and the only person that understands what managers go through are other managers.
No question.
So I don't know how you feel about it, but you know, the people that I tend to respect the most in this industry are other managers, and the people that I think are the smartest people that can give me the best guidance. And you know, frankly, when I'm stuck on something, I'll usually call another manager. And the thing is, most managers are very accessible to other managers.
It's because the misery loves company, and we were talking earlier that there's so many young folks out there that want to be a manager, right? And so they'll look at Jordan Berliant and look at your clients and all the things you've done, and they go, I want to be that guy, right? And they kind of miss a lot of the nuance that goes on here, you know? But I feel like every line in my forehead has got a story behind it. And it wasn't because being a manager was the greatest job in that moment, don't you find?
So the question that I get asked most often by people outside the business is, so how did you become a manager? My answer is, I must have done something really horrible in a previous life.
You know, it's they don't teach it. Well, actually, they do kind of try to teach it now in universities, but it's not something you can teach, and it's not something you get a real degree in being a manager, because my lessons, I know you've had a few too. They can't teach it. They maybe in a psychiatric course or something, you know.
I think it's also one of the only professions where I think failing early on is almost a requirement to succeed later. I don't know any manager that is successful now that hasn't failed early in terms of not getting it right with an act, or not getting his or her temperament right in terms of, you know, how they approach something. And I have learned from failures early on.
I think it's an interesting point you make. You know, I talk a lot. We did all these kind of wacky, you know, video lessons, right? And one of the things I did was we talked about focusing on the wins, right? You know, and it's particularly athletes that are good have a short memory for their losses, you know. But the truth in the matter is, some of my greatest lessons have been learned on stinging losses. Me sitting in the corner, you know, I can remember one I was talking about with a friend the other day where we decided, when I was working as a concert promoter, to do, we had Budweiser as our sponsor, and we're doing the Super Fiesta, and we were going to do it in Chicago and San Antonio and somewhere else. And so I did all my homework, I did all the demographics, and we booked these things. It was like a deal where we were covered up to the first 25. There was $1,000 in losses. We couldn't, it was a guaranteed, there was no way you could lose. At the end of that 3 nights, I was sitting in a corner with a bottle of tequila with my team there, all of them going, Rennie, was this your idea? And all I could say was, how could I be so wrong? Because we so missed understanding the Latino market that it was like, it was a joke, right? And so I learned then something that I've tried to stick closer to, which is to figure out what you're really all about. And just try to keep being yourself and see how that works out before you try to be something else.
Yeah,
you know?
I think the other lesson there that, you know, I know both of us apply you know, day in and day out is understand the fans.
Yeah.
You know, they're the ones ultimately that are the power center of this industry. Most people don't necessarily acknowledge that, but they're artists do. You know, you always hear artists thanking the fans, and sometimes it sounds like a cliche, but it's not. Smart artists know that, you know, the fans are what powers, you know, their career.
I think you mentioned it's the smart ones that figure that out. It's not a given. I'm not going to mention any names, but you know, the people that do take a personal approach in today's world, I think, do better. And you happen to have a pretty good bunch with those Linkin Park guys who are ritually appreciative of their fans, which is a terrific thing.